All right, does anybody not know about Indivisible? Got one that does not know about Indivisible. So this is yeah, so Indivisible was created by a bunch of kind of Washington staffers that said, we've learned a lot of lessons from what the Tea Party did. They seem to be rather effective at the time. How can we use some of the principles and some of the actions that they did, combined with the insider knowledge that they had, to figure out how to create a resistance movement that was going to be very useful. Yeah, no, please. No, it's fine. What do you wait for? So indivisibleguide.com, it started just as a rather innocuous, hey, we've got some ideas together. It just compounded and grew into this massive movement until it was starting to be covered, especially by my favorite, Rachel Maddow. So it's just kind of grown and grown and grown, and they've really consolidated their effort. They've really organized. And now, if you haven't read the Indivisible Guide, I encourage you all to read it. It's not very long. There's also a great summary page, and it's available at indivisibleguide.com. So
does it have graphs, pictures? So
it has literally it has colors.
The most simple bullet point list of how to talk to your congressman ever. That's what it is. It's just a bullet point simple list of if you want to make a difference, here's how to actually do that in a practical sense. It's like a 7-page guide. It's very simple, and that's what it is.
And I'll add that it's based off the Tea Party movement. So,
you said that,
okay. Oh,
yeah, that's awesome.
So the difference between us and the Tea Party is the Tea Party did some unscrupulous things in their agenda, or whatever you want to call it. So it's sort of a modified version of that. It's just pressure on your members of Congress.
There's an actual tenet of being part of Indivisible. The tenet is, don't be a jerk. Be pissed off at your congressman. Be angry at them, show that you're angry. Don't be a jerk about it. Be polite, be nice, you know what I mean? These people are people too.
Yeah, and you'll see in the guide, the main tenets of this are inclusion, tolerance, and fairness. And those have to be core values for all of us. So in Indivisible Orlando, and there are almost 1,000 people on the group already. There are over 700 people on Twitter. We're growing very fast. Yeah, exactly. We have Republicans. We have Hillary supporters, Bernie supporters. We have Trump supporters. Some of them are in this room. We have people of every walk, and that's important to remember. We are not here because we are Democrats. We are not here because we hate Trump. We are here because we have principles and we believe that what he's doing is wrong, and that's it. And that's important that we all take that to heart. If we don't, we're going to screw this up. All right?
So you got standing ovation.
Yes.
No, that's just lack of chairs.
We shouldn't have had any chairs here at all. Yeah, if there's more chairs, raise your hand, and then we'll get some people looking for a chair.
If you guys want a chair, there's a few over there.
Grab chairs.
So what exactly is the plan of the movement? If Trump is impeached, we're after 4 years. Like, what
Well,
is
let's look at the
exactly-
reality. If Trump is impeached,
You're repeating the question?
the question is, what is the overall plan or the longer term plan of Trump? If Trump gets impeached, I think everyone in this room would probably agree that Pence is probably not so much. You're not going to agree with that? All right, well, I'm going to say it anyway. He's probably not right on track with the political agenda that most of us have. Yeah, he's anti-women rights. He's anti a lot of things that work for Trump. So, yeah, fair enough. Except it'll probably be a little bit less scale. He's more of an establishment Republican. Right, but it'll still be a scary time. So.
Let's cut on through. Okay.
He's more sick. Yes. But I mean, honestly, that's not our agenda right now. Yeah. Our agenda right now is, wow, we have Trump in the office, and that's scary.
And it's not because of Trump.
It's not because of Trump.
I think like our goal should really be for our group to not exist.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to be here.
Exactly.
We should be at home watching The Walking Dead or whatever you guys like to watch.
I would love to.
Right?
So if things change and Trump becomes amazing, as unlikely as I think that that's going to be, and we're not needed anymore, fantastic, right? If Trump goes away and it's Pence and we're not needed anymore, fantastic. If we're needed, we will be here. If we're not, we are here.
is there,
I like that we have a Q&A session set up, but it's fine. Go ahead.
And then we'll wait.
is there a bunch of points that you go for, or is it more focused?
What do you mean by points?
Environment.
I kind of get it. Yeah, so this has actually been
So many points that,
this has been a problem that we have, that Indivisible in general is at across the country. Is that, Melanie will set up a Trump Tuesday protest. And then we say, great, Melanie, what's the theme? And we don't know until that day, right? Because it's just been a deluge of different stuff, and it's hard to keep track. So we just basically do the best we can, and we've been fairly consistent with our message in general overall. But we do the best we can because it's a crazy deluge of chaos.
Let me see if I can address that a little bit. There is a lot going on, and there's a lot of individual things that are dear to us that we can protest. And I think into the Indivisible guide and in perspective to what our mission is that, and in perspective to the rallies that I hold and we hold, it's a matter of this. So much is going on that we can get overwhelmed. And the problem is we need to be very focused. And the focus is we need to make sure that our concerns collectively and individually are acknowledged by the people that have been put into office because they represent us. And so the way in which we make ourselves heard is in the calls that we make, the emails that we send, the letters that we send, the rallies that we go to, the things that we do, the active measures that we take towards the same agenda. And I hope that addresses your question.
that's kind of my concern, is a message getting lost because there's so many.
Well, I think
And-
that's the whole country's concern.
Right. And
Everybody's sick.
tired, and people get tired because there's so much.
So there's
Pace yourself, my love. Take a vacation.
there's been a kind of a long-standing concern across the media and across groups all across the country where, if we're at a protest every Tuesday, if we have a protest every other weekend, we're going to get tired of protesting. We're going to get tired of being angry. We're going to get tired of fact-checking. And
Are we gonna get tired? No.
the statistics are on our side. We've been doing this since November. And the numbers are only growing. They're still growing. This room is a testament to that. So I don't think we're going to get tired. It doesn't look like we're getting tired. In fact, it looks like we're getting strength.
All that protesting, it's energizing and you feel like you're doing something. Effective communication with the senators and so forth. But and can you talk a little bit more about that? I know the plan has, the bullet points, but that's really it actually happens, right?
So Melanie's been doing most of that. So.
Here's a lot of what I've been doing on Tuesdays. Yes, we've been outside of Rubio's office, and we were 1 week outside of Nelson's office. And part of that is to show that we're here, we're not going away, we have a voice, and we will be heard. But in addition to that, what I've been doing is making contact with their regional staff members and making appointments with their regional staff members so that people can go in, have their voices being heard, talk about it, and things like that. What I say to people is if they can't make it to rallies, email me, I will take the letters with me. letters are in stacks with them, and they see them in stacks, and they send them directly to Washington. And what do they say? They know that our rallies are volumes of constituents, because for everybody who shows up and for everybody who has a letter, they know that you can multiply that by a certain dimension, and you know how many people are following what we do.
And they read them. They
And
read
they
your letters.
read them.
They read your letters. It doesn't even fact.
This is a map that allows you to see where the town halls are.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we're
have
gonna
that.
address that.
Yes. All right, so we're going to hold more questions until a little bit later. There's a few things that we just want to get asked first, and there will be lots of opportunity for Q&A. So just an update of where we are at. We obviously we have Facebook, we have Twitter. How many of you guys are here because of the Facebook event? How many of you guys are here because of the event listed on the Indivisible Guide's website? Fantastic.
Can you
All right.
raise your voices a little bit?
Yes, sorry.
Scream.
I'm very sorry. I'm not the world of those.
I'm sorry, but it's hard to hear you.
So,
Yeah, no,
so
next time we will
pretend you
definitely
have
have
to
a
shout.
microphone. Yes. We have a website. It is, we are working to make that cool and have that be like an individual destination for finding out what's going on, what events there are, what actions you can take, how to do those actions, and just make it very simple and very easy. Because we see that as the best thing that we can do is enable all of you to have the biggest effect, right? That's what we're looking to do. So that is coming soon. We are working on things like a logo. We're going to have, you probably saw it when you walked in here. We're even looking at t-shirts if you guys are interested in that. So that is happening. More on that later, but that's really not what this is about.
And by the way, I'll interject really quickly. For everyone that's not in the Facebook group, but you want to be involved and be active and help us out, join the Facebook group. Because that's where most of our internal communication to the group at large happens. Twitter's great too, but Twitter's kind of more bullhorn to the world. Facebook is more internal, so definitely join our Facebook group. If you don't know where it is, just come and talk to us. And
Are you actively using the Resist group meetup page also?
the Resist meetup page.
I've not heard of that one.
That's what I don't know about this.
This was how I found out about it tonight.
Yeah.
It's called the Resist Meetup.
Fantastic.
It's called Resist
Resist
Orlando.
Orlando.
Resist Orlando.
That's what I was-
That's fantastic. Yeah, so there are so many little groups popping up all over the place. It's hard for us to keep track of them all. So if you've got one that you want us to work with or coordinate with, talk to us and we will coordinate with them. We will cross-post. We'll do whatever we need to. Do one of you want to talk about the other local groups here?
Briefly, yeah, we're in communication and we're trying to branch out to be in more communication with other local groups. If you're in another local group, a few of them, you guys said hello to us tonight. We're already in communication with Indivisible in Florida, neighborhood Dems of Seminole County, Florida, the Winter Park group. That's it. Yeah, if there are other groups, get a hold of us and we'll coordinate. You know, if we're all in this together, we all have the same goals. So.
I think what happened right after, a lot of people scattered and started forming these groups, and this is still going to be a grassroots effort, so we don't want to consolidate everything in one group. But we don't want to have too much overlap because then it's waste cycles and all that. So this is where the coordination, I think we're almost at the stage where coordination is going to be critical. Otherwise, we're going to be wasting our time, and everybody's got day jobs. So.
You know, you really have to shout like somebody just
Okay.
poked you and it hurts.
Gotcha.
That kind of yelling.
Gotcha. All right.
Yell at us.
One of the things I was saying was,
There you go.
one of the things I was saying was, we're at a point right now, Indivisible groups and the Resist groups and the Move On groups and this group and that group, where I think there's going to be a lot of overlap, and we don't want to waste too much time like recreating the wheel in different groups. So this is where we're at the stage where coordination, I think, is going to be key, which is why we need to be all aware of the different groups, what people are doing. And this is kind of the effort that we're starting to work through right now, trying to figure out who's in what group. Do they want to, not merge, but how do we overlap that all?
Merging is also an option.
We're merging right now with another group.
Teacher trick, okay? In order to project your voice, talk to him. Everything you
Yeah,
say,
talk to
you're
that guy.
saying to him.
Can you hear
And that
me?
way, everybody will hear you.
You, sir, can you hear me?
I can.
Teacher trick, talk to the person in the back of the room. Don't talk to us, talk to them.
It's, we've debated turning the air conditioning off, but I don't think anybody really wants that.
We taking questions or we?
We're gonna have a Q&A at the end, actually, so. Actually, if we
We're almost there.
hold our questions for just a few minutes,
She looks really disappointed.
Melanie, do you want to talk about any forthcoming events that are already scheduled?
Forthcoming events, Tuesday at noon, we will all be outside of Rubio's office. Woo! Our focus on Tuesday will be three things. Demand the town hall, which we know he won't give us, but we will demand it anyway. Second thing will be, we want an independent commission for the Russia investigation. And one is tax return. Because there was no oversight of his conflicts of interest if we do not see this man's tax returns. Woo! So those are the three things that are focused, okay? If you cannot make it to the rally, that is fine. We all have lives. Send me an email, and I will deliver it to his office personally. The email you send it to is called challengepolitics@gmail.com, and I will take the email in.
You can also get a hold of me on Twitter or Facebook, and we'll also relay it.
Okay?
All right.
So that's good.
One more time. What is it?
challengepolitics@gmail.com if you want any emails or letters to go through. The second rally will be on the 25th of February. The 25th of February, we are having a rally for healthcare. We want to preserve healthcare. It is part of the national rally that Schumer and Sanders have put forward nationwide to try to preserve healthcare. Even if it doesn't happen in terms of preserving ACA, we want to go out in full force, tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell your dog, everybody. Because here's the thing. We want to make sure there's some key things that are kept. Pre-existing conditions, very important. Extremely important. This pre-existing, this pool that they have for things that are like high-risk pool, it's been tried, done, delivered, not worked. Pre-existing conditions we want to keep. That they use say on people's health care to 26 years old, we want to keep. No caps, we want to keep. If you get cancer, you don't want to figure out your spouse is dying and you want to kill them because your cap is coming up. I'm sorry, being dramatic, but you know. So here's the case. There are things that we want to keep. Those things that we want to keep are the most expensive things in that bill. Those are the things that when they want to cut the budget, they want to eliminate. If you heard Rand speak about his proposal, he said, oh, well, we'll keep somebody on for 2 years if they have a pre-existing condition. So what are you saying? That somebody with a pre-existing condition after 2 years has a death sentence because they can't get medical care? Or if they change jobs, or if they move states. So here's the thing. We need all the support we can get for the rally on the 25th.
Which is a weekend.
Which is a weekend.
So.
It's Saturday. I sent out, I pass around the flyers. It is also on the website. And
Right there.
there's things that have gone around. It's on the website.
The location of the map.
It's at the Lock Haven, which is, I think, 530 East Princeton Street. Thank you, my God.
We'll have an event up on the Facebook page.
It is, we have, it's in contention with the Democrats, so there's gonna be a lot of officials there. Most likely Murphy is gonna be there, possibly Demings, possibly Soto. I think most likely Soto, because one of his staff members was at our meeting, and some of the commissioners, and we're hoping for the mayor, and we're working on it, and I don't have the final confirmations of who's going to be there, but there will be a lot of our representatives there, and you will get a chance to talk to them if you come and hold signs out and show in force. So that is two of the things that are occurring now. More will be in the future.
We're also in talks with other groups about setting up a cardboard town hall in March, because it's going into recess. It's going into recess soon, and we kind of missed the boat on this one. It's a little too soon to set something up. It just takes a little time to organize that kind of stuff.
I don't know if everyone knows what that is. I didn't know what that is.
What, cardboard? So cardboard town hall is that, well, my personal opinion is that Marco Rubio is simply too spineless to stand in front of us and listen to what we have to say. So, can everyone hear me? Yes? All right. So a cardboard town hall is when we set up a town hall, we invite Rubio, reps and all that stuff. He won't show up, but the media will, and some other folks will, and we can talk and basically have a whole bunch of bad press about the fact that we set up a town hall and he didn't show up. He won't talk to his constituents. So we're thinking about setting something like that up in March. Next week.
That's important. It's not just a random.
Well, yeah. If you get active resistance, you set up a cardboard town hall. There's actually an Indivisible sub-guide on how to do this. So we're going to start following down that path, because I don't think we're going to get any chance to meet with Rubio anytime soon. So that's
Unless you want to donate a lot of money.
$98,000.
$98,000 was the last, yeah.
There is one point I wanted to make. One of the most effective things you can do is deliver a personal story about how something affects you. It's one thing to be out there mad about something, but if you have a personal tie, why the ACA or any of these things are important to you, and please write that up in a letter. And even if you can't go, again, send it to challengepolitics@gmail.com. We will deliver that story. It's that are the most effective ways to kind of get through. They read everything, but those are the ones that I think.
Let me tell you what those are actually used for. If somebody needs the ACA, and they give us a letter saying why they need the ACA in a personal letter, then we can give it to like someone like Bill Nelson that will actually go on the Senate floor and read it to the whole Senate. Okay, so these are huge things for us to have. So if anyone has any personal stories they want to relay, please give them to me or Melanie, and we'll relay them to the Senate.
I will go one step further.
Drum roll, please.
I will wait for it till next time, like Trump. No, I will go one step further and say, if anybody has a compelling story that they are willing to share, we can put it on video. We can use that video, and we can use it for media. We can use that video. We can use it for social media. We can use that video and get the story out there to people. Because, truthfully, I can write a million texts, I can write a million Facebook things, but the truth is somebody's heart doesn't go out until they hear, did you? That is the only thing between us. That is the only thing that somebody else who is maybe on the other side of the equation that can understand. They maybe cannot understand me saying something because they'll classify it as, oh my God, that little extremist. But they will understand if you say, my child is dying. They will understand if, like one person who came to the rally said, I had a heart transplant because of ACA, the Affordable Care Act. And if you take it away, I will not be able to afford my medications and I will die. They understand that because that is the human relationship. And it goes beyond policy, it goes beyond politics, it goes beyond anything. And so that is the reason why for us to make it real to people. This has to be real to people. This has to be people, not politics. It has to be the face of humanity, not policy. And so if you're staring at somebody, and that's why Marco Rubio doesn't want to do a town hall, because if you're staring at somebody who says to you, I can't afford my health care and I will die if you take it away from me, he can't, how is he going to look, of course Paul Ryan did it, but how are you going to look in somebody in the eye and say, no, we're not going to do that to you. We're going to take care of you when you are not. It makes it that much harder.
Anybody else glad we have Melly on our side? All right, so I think we're going to move to the Q&A portion of this. Any questions, any comments, they are welcome. I will say one thing. Afterwards, when we are done, if anybody has an idea or a connection for where we can meet that is not here, that is larger, has more chairs, maybe has a microphone, come and find me afterwards and we will make that happen.
Also, let me just
we're not doing this again.
throw in one real quick thing. So I think next Tuesday, you have 5 spots?
It's not next Tuesday. I am working with Rubio's office, so I am trying to make their office is tiny. So they can take 6 people at a time. I am working with their office to have people come in and meet with the regional director at Rubio's office. Now, do not think that because it's not Rubio, that it does not get heard. It does. He sits there, he takes notes. The more people that do it, the more people who voice concerns, the better off we are. So, if you do want to take the time at any point, and it's going to be during work week, I will advise you to that. But if it is something that you can do and you do want to do, then I don't know if we can have a sign-up sheet for it. Let me know, and I can give you dates and times that it will become available to do, and we can try and coordinate it.
So come and see your congressmen and your senators.
Or their representatives.
Or their representatives, yeah.
And
Which are almost good.
If there's something that you want to do at Nelson's office, I can do that too.
All right. I'm going to let you go first because you have waited very patiently for your question.
My recommendation for all of you is, since you have everybody's email address, if you could please, and I can help write it if you want me to, but if you could please follow up by sending all of us an email with the website URL, the Facebook, how to get there, the Twitter handle, the meetup information, and the next rally is the one you talked about at Rubio's office, the healthcare, and then how else do, like, if we want to participate, who do we contact? So if you already have the email addresses and you send out all the information, then we all have it.
Yeah, if your
Send
email
us a
address is out
newsletter.
there, you will get an email after this as a summary of what
Yes.
happened.
Doing that very
Does anyone need it?
Yeah. So one of the other things I want to point out with that, we have people in all, like some people have emails, some people have Facebook, some people have Twitter. what we're trying to do is channel. We're not fully there yet, but soon, everybody to the Indivisible or the Orlando Indivisible website. That will be a comprehensive source. It'll have links to Twitter if you want to go read that. But all the pertinent information will be on the OrlandoIndivisible.com website soon. Well, it's not quite there. It's a placeholder. It looks pretty, but there isn't anything there yet. So.
There are links.
Yeah, there's links.
Also, and way more important than that, if anyone is heading to the bar, let me know because I need a refill. Okay.
He's got fear of speed.
What's his name?
Well, let's do it.
Are we?
Okay, down the list.
Don't forget about, I discovered an app called Hobnob, which allows, like, I get daily action from, probably an app Blue, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And it'll give me a daily action. I call the number, I just get a text, it says today's daily action. I text it, and, I touch it, and it tells me, I touch the number, the phone number, and it'll call the number, and it'll tell me what to talk about, how to express myself, and then it'll say, give me your zip code, and I'll put in my zip code, and it'll say, press 1 for Rubio, press 2 for Nelson, and it's really effective. That's not Hobnob, but that's another one that we are also Indivisible. We're in the Belle Isle areas. I jumped on it and just opened up the page. I'm not quite as organized as you all are, but again, it's grassroots, so
It takes time.
Exactly. I want to. We're hopping on your tail, your tail there. But we're feeling that we want to knock on doors. I want to do the grassroots stuff, knocking on doors with a brochure on Indivisible that is, you two-sided and give information to people in the fringe, like in Paramore, and even like college cars or college cars in Paramore, but the Eatonville, Bitco, going and sorry. I'm just saying, and getting the commissioners in that area and finding out how we can reach their community. Yes. First, you're getting with the commissioners, and finding out how can we really help them keep running. Get involved.
That's a great. What?
There's a church.
However you can. The one thing I want to caution with knocking on doors is just be careful.
Yeah.
Rhetoric is at all-time high here, so.
Yeah.
Go to bar, having a good time.
What you do
Bring up
is,
trouble.
Also
with the
laws.
elections office off Haley, you can get a list of who voted when, how they voted, how many times they voted over the years, for what party. So you're not just knocking on anyone's door, you're knocking on doors of basically food.
Okay.
So one of the things I'm thinking about is doing that. Go to the elections office, getting a list, zip code.
Here's what you can do, if it's something to do with blue, in that sense, you can probably coordinate with Democrats.
Or swing left.
Right.
Sure. I definitely don't want to dissuade you from that because that's great. Bringing more people into the fringe is awesome. But definitely keep in mind that the entire Indivisible movement is voluntary. Everybody volunteers what they can when they can. So you just want to be careful not to beat people over the head.
And you also want to be careful that everybody is not a one party.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of people on the other side that are not really happy with what's going on either. We don't want to make this all about like, yes, this is Democrats coming together. It's not just Democrats coming together. Yeah, it's people that they're bristling at the notion of critical thinking just not being respected anymore. And they're bristling at other sorts of things, all kinds of things. So it's not just Democrats. No, it is not. Yeah. It is not. And one of the things that we're doing, that I'm doing, I just ordered a bunch of cards. Just, are you happy with how everything is working out? And on that card, they can have, there's a text number that they text the number and they will give you a list on your text, on your phone, they'll give you a list of all of your representatives. That's it. What are you not happy with? Well, I have my health care is, why don't you go ahead and voice your opinion? Here's a number, and giving me an easy, just a business card. People, I work in a restaurant. I'm giving people, I go to Wawa. I'm giving some people who work at Wawa. I go to the gas station. I'm giving people, are you happy with everything? I don't care who they vote for. What they voted for is
not in my interest.
It's not really pertinent,
Really,
yeah.
not my interest. These are some of the things that I'm doing, just, and, but we really want to jump on your page, your, you know.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You guys are very organized, but we are also.
We're getting
a lot of areas.
Chat with me afterwards.
Yeah.
There's also the way you started with there's a website you can go to it and it'll give you an action for the day. There's another one called 5 Calls.
5 calls a day.
5 Calls is great. It's the
Everybody
same
familiar with 5
concept.
calls?
Same concept.
The
No.
letter for the number 5 calls.
Yes.
Not one.
And it just gives you like, where are you? Okay, call this person, here's your script. Call this person, here's your script.
It literally tells you.
It's really awesome. Very simple.
It's a website.
It's a website.
5 calls, number 5calls.org.
And you have a script. I mean, is it really?
Yeah,
You don't
I
actually
don't
read the script. It's up to you. If you want to read the script, read the script. But if you don't want to read the script, then the script tells you the concept of what you're doing.
It gives you
Yeah.
an intent.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many people here have already solved a member of Congress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to quickly just clarify one thing. About the scripts. When you're given a script to call, this is not a prescription like call this number, you will say the following script. There's never even a time where it's make this call. It's got to be something that you actually agree with, right? This is all about making our voices heard. It has to be your voice. It is not somebody else's voice. It is not Indivisible's voice. That does not exist. It is your voice. We are here to enable you to have your voice heard. Anything you agree with, put it in your own words, make the call. You've made a difference. You've done your job. It's that simple. All right?
There's a woman in the back that's been trying to get a question out.
This is just people organized question. Just, I was reading that it was somewhere on Facebook or Twitter. Someone was saying that they really want to make sure the energy that's driving Indivisible turns into an effective get out the vote.
That is
So
concerning.
is there any type of plan to turn, I mean, I know that the mission of the group is to essentially voice to congressional representatives about
Right.
what we don't like about what's happening, fine, I'm definitely doing that. And I want to continue to and help other people, but do we have any, like, thoughts on how to organize, I mean, because essentially we're less than 2 years already.
Yeah. So let me
I
tell
live in
you.
Seminole County, and
Yeah.
it's very red.
So I'm gonna give you like I'm gonna give you what? So I'm gonna give you like a news pundit answer to that.
Yeah.
The news pundit answer is that to get out the vote, we need the Democratic Party to get on board and capitalize on what the hell is going on right now. The Indivisible movement at its core is a resistance movement. We're resisting the crazy crap that's going on. Now, we would be crazy to not try to push this into a 2008, switchover, obviously. But we're not quite there yet because, oh my God, what happened today? Right? So we're still kind of in resistance mode.
One step at a time.
Right, but I think it's 6 months to a year, anywhere in there, we're gonna start changing focus to, yes, let's resist, but let's try to win things back and
I think the quicker answer is there is a line somewhere between resisting and planning for the election. We are figuring out where the line is now. Planning for it, we're not at the line yet.
This won't die.
The reason I bring it up, and
Yes, ma'am.
this is I went to the Seminole County Democratic Party meeting in January. Yes. They had said that prior to that meeting, which had about 100 people, there had never been more than 19 people. So they do not have an operation, they do not have anything.
They have nothing.
And so, I mean, and honestly, like, Seminole County could, there's a lot of registered Republicans, but I believe that with an effective get out the vote operation, we could turn blue. But they're not included in this rally you guys have on Saturday, like all that kind of stuff. So I just want to kind of put that out there as like, I think it needs to start now. I'm really helped. I just don't have.
Are you with the group? Are you with that group? Are you with that group?
I have your card.
Yeah, talk to me afterwards. We totally want to help, and if there's a way that we can help get some advice to get you guys going, done.
I keep hearing that we're organized, we're still
Yes,
working on it. So,
There are 1,000 questions that want to be answered, so we are going to move this along. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know,
Oh,
there's a Sunday, every Sunday at 8 o'clock with Dave Bond and Indivisible together. Have you ever
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh my God,
that
as we
was
speak.
unfortunate, yeah.
This is the third or fourth one this week. I think.
Yeah.
Four.
Yeah.
I find that very helpful. You can dial into the call or you can live stream it. At 8 o'clock every Sunday. It's Move On and Indivisible together, isn't it?
Yes, tonight's going on.
Oh, tonight is
Yeah.
Indivisible.
So anyway, there's another signature.
That's a great idea.
I want to, real quickly, I'm
Sure.
taking her seat.
Yeah. Sneaky.
Orange County Democrats has a general meeting tomorrow night.
Yep, I'm there. Say that again. Orange County Democrats.
Has a meeting, a general meeting tomorrow night at 7, I believe.
At the Doubletree Hilton, downtown Ohio.
60 South.
Yes.
Also, to get familiar with the tabs on our Facebook page. There's a files tab or document. I've been keeping a running list. People have mentioned 5 calls. Move on. There's a ton of resources out there. I've been tabulating a list of things you can click on and a name and a link and a description of what they are. So it'll take you wherever you want to go. It's an open Google Doc.
Great.
People find other things, they can add it to the list. I've told Indivisible Central Florida about that, and they're going to reference it from their site. So, I mean, it's getting to the point where it's just going to start to get overwhelming, and I'll have to figure out a different way to structure it.
Yes,
We
send a
need to
message.
shut this meeting. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Send a message in the group chat to me or Justin. We'll make sure we are.
Yes,
Okay,
it's good. And
it's on, it's there now. I couldn't put a live into the Google Doc,
okay,
but I could create a document that has the live link in it.
okay. So I'll try to message you and we'll figure that out.
Okay.
And I do want to be clear. If you guys want to join one Indivisible group and join another Indivisible group, who cares? We're all in it together. If you're part of 3, 5, it doesn't matter. Just help out wherever you can.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just moving a little bit more abroad on the question. Don't something. Because my biggest concern is very personal. My biggest concern is that we are resisting things that is not they're not eloquent, they're not normal. This is not normal.
Right.
We are used to within other generations or other things that we have consistent in the past. It might be as big or slim, but it's within the morals and thinking and acting of rational people. What you know what I'm going, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what I am very concerned is that as the resistance, Democrats or whoever, the whole resistance, the whole group, we're still trying to be normal. I don't even know what word to use, but it's normal. But this is not who we are encountering. It seems like it's just so out there that we don't even know how to fight or resist. So I was just wondering within the group or other groups that you might have an alliance or be together trying to promote this together because we don't want to divide forces. Somebody, I think it was Elizabeth Warren said it very clearly. We are going to apply with pitchforks and they have guns.
Yeah.
So at what point I understand and do this, send the petitions and do this, at what point do we kind of not, I'm not talking about being violent, I'm talking about playing, they're not playing fair.
Yeah.
So we kind of gonna have to not be nice that much.
Well, it's a great question, and it's not just the people in this room. It's not just Indivisible or Democrats.
Right.
Everyone on the planet is trying to figure out how to talk to Trump. Right? Or his administration. This is very unusual. There are people that get paid a lot of money who are trying to figure out exactly that question. And boy, if anybody has a great suggestion, post it in the group.
Don't forget.
But we will try anything we can to address that.
Don't forget, we're not fighting Trump head on.
No, it's
We're
the
fighting
organization.
Congress.
Yeah.
It's the
We're fighting
organization.
Congress.
Yeah.
You're
We're
right,
fighting
Congressmen
check
and
and
senators.
balance.
Right.
We're trying to support a check and balance on it. We have three branches of government.
Right.
So, we have a free press right now. So, today. So essentially, when you think about it, think about this. It's not just fighting against him, it's supporting all those other things. So, do that. We are not only one thing. Congress is one thing that can do it. Judicial is the other thing that can do it. We need all our Democrats. Democrats are not, we have to keep all our Democrats voting against nomination because the courts are one of the only things that are blocking a lot of the things that are coming up. We need to ensure courts, but we need to ensure free press. What does that mean? Okay, we get a lot of free subscriptions online, right? We can get news online for free all the time.
However, it's still not playing fair. Just yesterday, you said there was some kind of
he's never going to play fair.
So
He's never going to play fair.
He's
like
never
for example,
going to
you
play
just said
fair.
this is some letters about personal things. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do and say a personal thing because then no one's taking back. You know what I'm saying? It's like just this.
Here's the thing.
Hold on. A lot of people are checking that.
Yeah.
You still watch Fox News, and you still watch that. That was a low blow. That was not fair.
But yes, it's unusual, but no, it's not unusual. But it's unusual for our time.
Right.
But now let's go back. Let's go back civil rights movement. Let's go back Gandhi. Let's go back to those movements. It is not unusual. It is just unusual for our time. And so for our time, is that it is going to require us to pace ourselves because we are in it for the long haul. One letter is not going to do it. One rally is not going to do it. One protest is not going to do it. One voice is not going to do it. 1 year is probably not going to do it. We are in this. This is a multi-level assault. It is not only a level of assault on the federal government, it is state government. It is gerrymandering. It is the fact that we haven't paid attention to who we have elected to state government, and he's going to kick all these things back to state government. He's going to kick healthcare, he's going to kick women's rights, he's going to kick every education, he's going to kick all of this because he doesn't want to pay in the federal budget. So he's going to kick it back to the states. We happen to live in Florida. Florida, not particularly progressive. So,
we can change that, though.
that's what we are here to do. We are here to make the difference between, and you make the difference in you. It's not only what we do in the federal government. It's what is Rick Scott doing? What is that man doing? I mean, have you looked at what that man does? I mean, seriously. So I am sorry.
No, that's okay. I think another round of applause for all.
All right. You have had your hand up for quite a while. Thank you.
My name is Rob Yale. I live in a neighborhood in North and Seminole as well.
Hi, Rob.
We together, Christine and I ran a Get Out the Vote center on the eastern side of Seminole County.
Yeah.
In the November election. We learned a lot. We saw a lot of mistakes being made. We're both novices to this. By people we met, knocking on doors, talking to people, and it was very encouraging. But the most discouraging night of my life, watching what happened. But for one shining spot, and that was Stephanie Murphy. Very helpful on the eastern side of the county for her, and in turn, she has been what she needs in terms of surrogates out in Seminole County, because it is a red light along this famous I-4 corridor, and we want to turn that blue. So we got over our purge and our depression, and we've had our crime sections. Our group, which is, by the way, neighborhooddems.com. Please visit our website and join our group. My friends there.
We're in contact in Seminole County, yeah.
Right. So here's what we've done, though. We've kind of moved beyond what schools do, and we are downloading all the data. We've gone to the Seminole County Election Bureau, and we have all that data. We have all the data that we had from the other coast, which they didn't want back. Told me to dump it in the trash, which we didn't do. We're cross-referencing all of that information for the Trumpsters for life and put her in jail, and we're going to get them off. And who are the independents like myself, even though our group is called Neighborhood Dems, I'm an independent. If you look at the voter rolls in Seminole County, if you throw the independents along with the Democrats, it's very easy to turn Seminole County blue. And I think the line that Murphy used was, nobody gets to the White House without Florida, and nobody wins Florida without this corridor. We are a very powerful voice in this election. That's why we call it Neighborhood Dems. And we're going house to house and door to door, but strategically, and it's got to be about the midterms. It's got to be taking the House. It's got to. We've got to start now. We can't wait. We don't have 6 months to wait. So we're starting now. And we have to go after Rick Scott, because Rick Scott's going to go after Nelson. And we have to call him for a town hall now. And we need to discredit him now, so we can't get to Washington. Let's cut it off with the head.
Have you gotten in contact with Dominic yet?
I have not.
I'm in contact with you. You're my Facebook.
Oh, sweet!
And we're in your group, but we'd like to help coordinate. And I'll see you after the meeting, but we'll talk. But again, neighborhooddems.com. Go on there. You can join our group.
Show of hands and loud applause and cheers. Who thinks we're going to turn this blue?
Thank you very much. You had your hand up for a long time, but it's now down. So I will move on.
I guess, because it's a big room.
Thank you.
It's kind of, my point is kind of playing off of your point. Your point never knows his point. So, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Kelly Smith. I'm the Vice President of the Democratic Disability Caucus of Orange County.
Yeah.
Midterms, to his point, wait, it's not until the end of the year till November. It's time to get out. 435 seats are up for grabs. You know, that's not anything to play around with. Everyone thinks the generals kind of are stopping place, that's just all or nothing. But look at the 9th Circuit Court. They're pushing back. It's all about checks and balances. The Judiciary Court, they're doing their thing. Now it's time to keep up the legislative branch. Executive, we kind of screwed ourselves on that, but there's always the other two branches that we can't forget about, you know, and so get involved with local politics, you know. I know Orange County meets
Monday.
7 p.m. At the Doubletree Hilton downtown. Sorry, it's all there. And if you're from Osceola County, your meeting is on Thursday night, and Seminole
March 9th.
Yeah, so no matter where you are, it's so easy to get involved. All you gotta do is go on Facebook and type in Seminole County Democrats, and you're right there. And then you just hit like and all the updates.
Do you have a big meeting room?
Actually, as opposed to the Seminole County, we went from the average about 70 members up to over 200 within our last meeting. So now we actually finished waiting outside of our hall. So now for this meeting, we're at the Doubletree to accommodate for about 300 or so people. So we're an amazing thing. So I think if you want to get involved, you can do anything involved in this. There, you can be a precinct captain. You can do whatever you want, and it makes a difference. So all you gotta do is get involved.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Lady back here that was talking about registration, something that I I started doing personally is I printed out a bunch of blank registration forms, and as I come across people that I meet just in everyday life, people that make my t-shirts, I ask them, are you registered to vote? And I've already, given 3-4 forms out for people that weren't even registered. The easier we make it for people, the better the chance that they are going to register to vote, and they are going to vote next year. The other thing I wanted to throw out there was education. It seems like a lot of people are just ignorant of they just don't know any better. I think a lot of people that are confused is because they don't know. So I don't really specifically have any ideas, but just generally I'm throwing it out there that we educate people in the areas where they are not educated. They don't know any better.
I do have some ideas along that line, and if you want to grab me afterwards, we'll talk about it. But I'm totally with you. I think education is a very important thing. I'm convinced that if we can get people in our districts to think logically and rationally through these issues based on what they actually believe, that they will change their minds about what the policy should be, and they will start to stand up for the right thing. I firmly believe that. So educating the people in our districts, I think, is incredibly important. So totally with you.
So you want the Women's March?
Yes.
I just want everybody to know that there is such a thing as Trumpers and Republicans. There's a different thing. And we haven't talked about the goals in the room. Different things. People that are Republican, they do not necessarily agree with what Trump is doing. Trumpers are just people that follow along regardless. So it is a big thing. Education makes a big difference. If your friend, someone that you see at the gym, at the school, at the PTA, all you have to do is let them know how you healthcare, immigration, anything. Just let them know how you feel and how it is that it impacts your life or somebody else's life. It could be your neighbor. Just let them know, and it makes a big difference. It makes a whole world. It could be just anything that they're not necessarily looking forward to, but it impacts everybody else's life.
You know what? And I'll actually add to that. Just nod your head quietly if this applies to you. But I have a couple of friends that are Republican, nice people, hang out with them all the time. I love them to death. They're just misinformed, and that's not their fault.
Yes.
Right? Because they watch conservative news and Breitbart and all this other crazy stuff, and that's all they have. So education goes along.
I'm going to say, on top of that, there are Trump voters in this room. Don't be afraid of Trump voters. Don't be afraid of. Don't berate them for. They voted their conscience. We might think it's wrong, and that's fine. What's important is they see the current situation, and they don't like it in the exact same way that we don't like it. And that's where we are indivisible.
And let's not forget the FU bill. There was a bunch of the FU bill. There was a bunch of independents and Democrats in the middle of the country. Their economic status was getting bad and bad and bad and bad and worse and worse and worse. And they said they're not listening to us. And we weren't. The Democratic Party was not listening to them. So they passed an FU bill. Fair enough.
Yes, ma'am.
Lady,
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a lady over here that you can't see.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate everything that you all are saying and how there's so much crazy going on, but you're targeting certain things and we're in for the long haul. Just as an aside, this topic is very important to me. Is the deportations that are happening.
Yeah, thank you.
And so that's actually how I looked you guys up. I was actually doing a general search because I really want to go out and stand up with our immigrant population. And there are families being torn apart right now, kids who are losing their parents. To me, this is just life or death too. So I can hear from the applaud that is an issue as well. Is MUFA involved in this? I mean, how involved is Orlando? We have such a huge Hispanic population. We should be on the news because I mean, how do I find out about that?
ACLU And they're having, if you go to ACLU in Florida, they're having a meeting this week.
Wednesday night.
They had one today. They had one today.
But they're having their general meeting
Your general meeting is on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay.
And
There's also a general petition going around to petition Buddy Myers.
Yeah, that's fine.
To turn this into a sanctuary, Buddy Dyer.
Oh,
Buddy
yes,
Myers.
I was wondering.
Sanctuary city,
So-
yeah. I'm not sure if we actually hit the 500 minimum to make that petition active, but where can you sign it? I'll post it in the Facebook group, I swear. Again.
I tell you what, I want to try to move on. If you guys could meet after the meeting, that would be great. And if anybody else is interested in a specific thing, that we'll have a little group afterwards about that one particular topic.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
Excuse me, she called almost like 5 minutes ago. She's standing here to cast, so can you guys just listen for a second, please?
I defer to Lady in the Cat.
We know each other.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so the point I wanted to make is in terms of voting and for the next election, when you are calling your representatives now, when you are going around, you are filling out these letters, but you do have some experience. Okay, you are contributing to change in vote. Because the important thing to let them know is that you vote. I vote, and this is what matters to me, and this is why, because personal stories do carry a lot of weight. But the other thing is I'm an independent voter. And this is what I will vote based on. The important thing is not just to call it complaint, you call it complaint vote.
Yes.
I heard you voted yes, no to this, I want to let you know that I support that.
That's why we're at Bill Nelson's office.
The other thing that's important to know is that Florida's Democratic Party has, they have some really odd, and it's our experience is mostly and national. But Florida has some very odd bylaws, Florida Democrats. And among those oddities, like to recruit or support people up, invite people to run, and probably accomplish people. You get somebody into state offices now in their 20s and 30s, they get to run them as president when they're 50. Our future. But you want to change Florida, that's how you do it.
So you asked about the immigration issues and how do you learn about them. So there's a meeting this Wednesday, First Unitarian Church of Orlando. In the room, because I recognize you. We're there last weekend. We had over 400 people as a follow-up to the Women's March.
What time, sir?
Starts at 6 o'clock for a light dinner. If you want to come over the event, it starts at 7 o'clock. And First Unitarian also has large rooms and is
Lots of parking.
Yeah, no, we're going to be in contact to see if we can have our next meeting there.
okay. And also they're organizing. There's a whole series of events. We've done gun safety, reproductive justice, LGBTQ. This week, Wednesday night, is immigration and the whole youth center for people who know about them. They will be presenting this coming Wednesday. Other healthcare, race, and environment. So it's a whole series of every other Wednesday over at First Unitarian Church of Orlando. Just go right on the website or the Facebook page. The events are right there.
Thank you.
And our website is on my list.
Fantastic.
I'm writing something.
My name?
The name of the group, Unitarian.
First Unitarian Church of Orlando.
Where do I find out the schedule?
I got it. I'll
Right.
put it.
She's got it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so having read the Indivisible guide, it was stated several times that we don't have an alternative agenda. Our agenda is to be defined to exist. Can you stand up? Yes. But there are a lot of groups who do have agendas that are in alignment with what we're doing. Equality Florida, Planned Parenthood, somebody mentioned the ACLU earlier. So what level of integration and communication do we have with those groups?
So far, we're just sort of firing this up again. This is a relatively new group. Right now, we're more interested in, excuse me. Thank you. We're more interested right now in trying to we're about Indivisible right now. We're not about the ACLU. We are. Making our focus to resist. Can't spread ourselves too thin, or it won't be effective. So for us up here, we're Indivisible. And,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
and we're looking to reach out to other Indivisible groups and coordinate first. Once we get there, if you call into these Indivisible group calls, a lot of times they are with other groups. So there is a hybrid going on. Right now, we're just trying to figure out the landscape of Central Florida, generally, or the Orlando area. And then we'll start to integrate more and more. Like a couple of us are going to the ACLU meeting Wednesday, I believe it is. So we're still at that stage. Yes, there will be a ton of overlap.
And definitely Equality Florida, I definitely want to partner with them. There's a number of groups that we can partner with, should partner with, and will partner with, but we're not, we want to make sure our eggs are in the basket first and make sure that we're on a solid foot.
Yeah.
I'll add to that a little bit in that if you go to a Trump rally, you're not going to see just us. Melanie actually partners up with Move On. Move On is representative in front of Rio's office every Tuesday. So there is some communication. Our focus is Indivisible, but we are communicating with other groups. In the back.
All right. I think it might have been a couple of hearings ago, but that's pretty loud. So I know part of what Indivisible as a nationwide group is doing is looking at the success, we call it that the Tea Party had. I think when you look at the Tea Party, the thing that you have to remember is an effort that came as a result of the Tea Party had nothing to do with the Tea Party, but it was extremely effective. They had a legislative agenda that was pushed because they came in with legislation written in most cases by a corporation. We all know sort of which money sources were funding those things, and ALEC, and a lot of these things came from. That's why you see these same bills in all these different states. There are things that are very much against the personal interests of, I think, a lot of people. So, I guess the one thing I want to say, and I think one opportunity we haven't talked about, it's great to say we disagree with it, but at some point you have to say, this is the legislation that, first of all, we have to remove, because a lot of this legislation is just passed by the Tea Party, especially because it's a local and state government, are things that need to be removed. And then secondly, what do you have in place based on priorities that we all agree on? How do we as people come up with legislation that we can say as people, not as corporations, not as special interests, that this is what Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, candidates, people for Trump, people against Trump, these are things we all agree on. Let's make that the legislative agenda.
That's a good point.
It's a great point, and this kind of touches on the education thing. I would love it if every single person in this room can say, these are the things that I believe, and this is why I believe them. Because with those principles, then can come the people in the legislation to put those principles into action. And I'm completely with you. I mean, I think ALEC is terrible. Like, the corporations, putting these legislation things that are purely self-interest. And I can't even talk enough about how much it pisses me off. But I think it's important that we look at those things which are principled, those things that are data-driven. Like, what is your reason for doing this piece of legislation? Justify it. That doesn't sound that certainly I'm personally comfortable with. I want to see somebody who can run that says, I think we should do this. And I can throw my support behind them because they've made their argument, they've justified their argument, they have their data, and they've convinced me. And I think they can make it happen. That's what I'm looking for. So I think that's fantastic.
When you meet with the people in the review office, can you ask them those things and they'll respond to you, or they just take notes on things that you have brought to their attention? Because I've never been to anybody's office or talked with anybody about my concerns. This is new to me. But can you do that? Can you say, why do you believe in this bill? Can you tell me why you believe in that bill? And argue those points? Or? Here's the thing. You will say, it is what you will say what you believe in, right? Now, they can't stay, they're not review, so they can't bear from anything. What they can do is say Rubio's pat speech based on something that they've done. the object of doing that exercise, because, clearly he's not going to do a town hall, but the object of doing that exercise, you get counted. Your voice gets counted, your concerns get counted. The more of us that do it, and do it personally, because personally is good, the more they feel pressure to do what we may collectively think is the right thing. And that is the object. There is a certain amount of this that's realism, right? We have to be realistic. What is the object of what we're doing with this specific thing that we're doing? Is the object that we're going to change Rubio's mind overnight and he's going to go all of a sudden become like everything that we hoped he would be? No, but the object is that we put enough pressure on him that he feels the heat, so that when he tries to kiss somebody's ass or tries to be extreme, that he walks the line the other way. And that is, if you look at any of these things that have been done over time, like civil rights movements or Gandhi or any of those things, it's always that, where you put enough pressure on people so that when they're thinking of doing the extreme thing or the wrong thing, in our opinion, that they have the second thought in their head. There is the second thought because they know that there is a group of people that will hold them accountable for it. Yes.
I'm going to just quickly figure that out. The one tenet of this whole Indivisible movement is that member of Congresses have one thing and one thing in mind, tantamount to everything else. That's getting reelected, right? So they see opposition that scares them. The more opposition that scares them more, and they do those that multiplication in their heads. They say 10 of you, that's really 200 of you, whatever that algorithm is. So that's where this solves.
Right. The Indivisible group, the Indivisible team actually said, look, in our context, Rubio's always going to be a Republican. But if we can get in his head where he's making a policy decision, and before he makes his decision, he goes, what is Orlando Indivisible going to think of this decision? That's our victory.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to do 5 more questions. The meeting will be over, but we are not going to leave. We'll hang around for a bit more if you want to hang out and chat, but we're going to do 5 questions, and then we're going to officially adjourn. So just, there we go. Yes?
So I don't think this has been addressed, but what about boycotting? Because the way to get to these politicians is to talk to them through money. And they might not listen to us, but if we find out who those big donors are, when we start boycotting their businesses and letting them know why we're boycotting their businesses, that's who the politicians
It's
are
you,
gonna
President.
Not only that, so there has been some boycotts in place. People are taking the money out of banks that support Gallup and all that stuff. That's great. Melanie had a great idea where let's do an anti-boycott, right? Starbucks, we're supporting certain things. That's a cool idea, right? Vote with your wallet.
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I said the hashtag Freedom Monday. And I said, go to the Starbucks, buy yourself a coffee, take a picture on Monday, place the picture and hashtag Freedom Latte Mondays on every social media thing that you do, and keep doing it and having votes.
Tag me, I'll retweet, come on.
And it was mentioned on
right?
every major network.
Yeah,
So,
it was mentioned. So I mean that has changed.
Yep, in the back.
Rubio said some puzzling things about how constituents being in touch with him are like gay protesters,
Oh yeah.
radical, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of puzzled, like, how do I respond to that?
Did you not get your check?
Come on up here, I'll write you one.
So,
We contact HR, we'll solve this.
So one of the things that we are going to do is we've been keeping track of every penny we've spent on everything that we've done.
It's a very short list.
It's $110. So if Rubio doesn't understand that it only takes $100 to pull this off, he doesn't know the value of money or he's making it up. We're going to publish, like live, our expenditure sheet. This is the amount of money that we spent. Anybody can view it. It's on our website. Go about to look at it. We're not going to take that crap. So, you know, the best thing that we can do is pressure media to when Rubio or anybody says that is, what is your evidence?
And
That's the only question that will make a difference. There's nothing more that we can do, unfortunately. But it's an easy attack, right? Because it kind of works.
Delegitimizes.
But
it's also an easily verifiable thing. Anyone that believes I'm a paid protester can walk up to me and ask me, and I'll explain it to them, and they'll know.
I'll show them my bank slip.
Yeah. Definitely not paid. Yeah. And I think honestly, what you're going to see over a pretty short time horizon is that paid protester thing is going to kind of fall off.
Yeah,
I think.
that's not.
I think it was an initial these town halls. Let's be honest, these town halls where the Democrats are flooding it. You've seen the videos. Yikes, right? So that's their natural. That can't be real. You know, they're going to find out it's real. We're 1 month in, and a couple months down, it's not going away. George Soros cannot pay $300 million. Or
the women's protest was the biggest protest globally in history.
That's
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So summarize the answer. Ask for evidence. And say, go look at the balance sheet. You can see how much we're spending. All right, we got time for 2 minutes.
I walked into Rubio's office and I said to Tom, who's the regional director, I showed him a picture of me standing next to Rubio in a fundraiser. And I showed him a picture of my mom standing next to a cake. And I said, do I look like an political extremist who's been paid to do this? Does my family look like that? I said, you can take those pictures to him. I said, because those are fundraisers for him. I said, so you can say that this is for me to you, that these people who I had outside there are not paid, and I think they're receiving
Evidence. Guys.
I don't think it is posted, but I did repost that petition for petitioning Buddy Dyer and Teresa Jacobs to make Orange County a sanctuary county.
Ooh.
I reposted it on Indivisible Facebook and Twitter, so it should be on the page.
Thank you very much.
Let's get 500. I'm get 500 on that.
Yeah, we can do 2 more questions.
It seems like watching the last town hall in New York, when they've been instructed with the same constituents. Let's see where we agree. Keep Social Security afloat. Tell me where the money's going to come from. So the kind of then people got that way. So before you make your point, make sure you know what you're responding.
I don't want to backtrack, but can we talk about the EPA for just a few minutes? Isn't that really a hot topic right now?
There's a bunch.
There's a bunch of hot topics.
Immediately to, I mean, public ombudsman and so forth.
Well, first of all, you should be calling as much as you can.
Right.
That's the easiest, simple group we have. Pick up the phone. Clear has not called yet. Honestly, don't feel ashamed.
I work 9 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
I'm on Twitter all day, so it's tough.
Call in the car on your way home.
This is what happens. So I'm going to explain 3 scenarios that happen when you call. One is you get a busy signal. When DeVos was being voted in, busy tried 5,000 times, could not get through. Finally got through, got an answering service. Left the message, hey, from 32801, strongly opposed boss based on lack of call. Really, whatever you think is what you should tell them.
You can leave a voicemail. It doesn't work as well, but just leave an email anyway.
Yeah, and the third thing is you actually get a human on the other side, which does happen, but it's the same. Those are the 3 options.
Sometimes we even have like a press 1 if you agree with blah blah blah. Press 2 if you disagree. You're like disagree, done. Done. And sometimes you leave a message. Sometimes it still says the voicemail box is full. It's like, you know what? I pushed 2.
I'll tell you what. After you make that first call, it's like riding a bike. You're just like on the phone, like I got 2 minutes to call.
It is surprisingly easy. I mean, it's one of those things that a lot of people they put off. Like, oh, I got to call. No, it's literally it's going to take you 3 minutes. So easy once you do it once. It's like,
I'm a little nervous that they analyze my outgoing calls on my cell phone bill. They're a little stalkery because it's all 202 numbers. What you gotta do.
Answer to the EPA question, right now there's 3 bills that just got pushed through that we were trying not to get pushed through. There's a hiring freeze right now, things like that. So if you follow any of the alternate parks, their Twitters, they'll blast the exact legislation that we were trying to block. So go on Twitter, go on Facebook, anything, you'll be able to find the exact ones that we're trying to block.
There's an app called Countable, and it will tell you and send you push notifications for each bill that's coming up, and you can weigh in.
Countable.
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 Countable. Like accountable.
Yes, there's another one that tells you exactly where the bills are, like
Yeah.
they go through the house, going this way, this is what they need. It's a really awesome picture guide, basically. So I can find that. I'll see if we can get it
Yeah,
to them.
and just to kind of circle back to some things from earlier, there are so many things that are happening that no one in this room is an expert on all of them.
Right.
I'm not an expert on all of the EPA
Look into
bills,
this.
nor is anybody in this room, and that's okay. But you can still call about the EPA. You can call and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I just wanted to let you know that I'm in favor of clean water. I'm in favor of clean air. I like the EPA. Don't screw it up, please. And then maybe you learn more about it, and you can call back and you can be more specific about it in the second call. Call and voice what your opinion is based on what you know now.
Let's just like obvious stuff. Like, who here asked Congress to get rid of the regulations so that coal ash could be dumped in rivers?
Right.
Everyone, no one wants that. So just call and be like, WTF, guys? Like, that's ridiculous.
You saw that with the
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right, we are gonna.
I think we're gonna. I just wanted to do one quick thing. So show of hands, who here can? I think we already hit the MOCs. Who here can make like Tuesday rallies and protests
At noon.
All right, there's no wrong answer. It's fine.
Downtown, I work
Yep.
downtown.
And downtown.
Right
yeah.
up the street.
Okay. And who here can make like a Saturday protest?
Yes,
So-
everyone.
So Tuesday it is then.
That's
Okay.
And
And your
what?
representatives, there are a lot of them will be there.
And one last question. Who here would have the time and inclination to take on like a specialty task?
Like a
A specialty task. Yes.
Yes.
Further
A little more than protesting.
All right.
All right.
Oh, great.
All right, I'm going to do one last. Who will call somebody over the next week about something? I want to take every hand in the air. I'm going to make your voice heard. Okay. I want to thank you guys all for coming very much. I really appreciate it. This is definitely a good turnout. Thank you very much for coming. Fight the good fight. We are. Thank you to everybody on our live stream.
Specific folks want to come up and talk about anything.
Yeah, come and say hi. We might take a 5-minute break, go get a drink, something. We'll be right back. Thank you guys.
How you doing?
Oh, you're going.